Hey, this is Stephen Amell, and you are listening to Tomorrow's Legends, the podcast. Don't fail your city.
When the danger becomes more than one hero can handle, when enemies rise beyond one city and threaten the entire world, a team must gather together to battle the odds. A team of extraordinary heroes. And that team will call themselves the Justice League.
Hello, Ultimate Leaguers. It's the Justice League Unlimited, Episode 9, Ultimatum, and some hard questions are presented this time as the government starts dabbling more into creating their own powered heroes. They can control the consequences of that action and the moral dilemma of treating them like property over living beings. And the only question I have from all of this is, why does all the people in the power always suck? Like government leaders, military leaders, why do they always suck? We got the wrong people in charge. And all I can tell you is I am not the grown in the lab Flash.
I'm Harley Quinn.
And just call me a super friend. I'm X-Force 11.
A super friend, yes.
Hello, legends.
And Gideon is here too. All right, you're listening to one of the many shows on the Cybercast Network. You know the spiel. Started with Legend of Tomorrow, Stargirl, Superman and Lois, X-Men 97, Jupiter's Legacy, Tomorrow People, and the upcoming Lanterns. Also, dive into DC. They are just about to get into the Batman Cape Crusader over on Amazon, so check out Silver Box and Green Butterfly over there. They're about to get going on that new animated series. So we got 2 animated shows on the network right now, which is pretty cool. Checking all that out. And then The Mandalore.
Soon to have 3.
Soon to have 3. I was going to get to that. That's going to be in our news section now that you mention it.
Well, actually, I guess 4.
Why?
If you on The Mandalore.
Well, I guess,
Maul.
yeah, if you're talking about Maul, yeah, I guess. Yeah. I mean, we've covered all kinds of animated series. Yeah, so it's going to be an animation takeover on the network, because we'll be talking all about animation. That's a good point.
Wasn't that like that was a thing on one of the networks back in the day? Wasn't it? There was they billed that as like an animation takeover, and all they aired was like animated stuff. Do you remember that? Okay, is that just me?
Takeover thing sounds familiar, yeah.
Does that sound familiar? Okay.
It does. So there we go. Cybercast animation takeover for sure, because we are going to be covering the Maul Shadow Lord series coming up over on Mandalore, as well as the Mandalorian Grogu movie, which is coming up very soon. But they just dropped a new trailer for Maul, so we've got to get on covering that. I know Vizsla and Han already talked about it on Inside the Force, but they don't dive deep like we do. So we'll give you the Mandalore version of that trailer.
The 7-hour version?
Yes, exactly. I don't know if we do that tomorrow or not, but we'll see. I haven't talked about it yet, so we will get to that. But speaking of the news, let's get into that.
We interrupt this podcast for a special report.
Yeah, so just to kick it off, like Jeff kind of hinted at there is a new show on the network. I was posting on the Facebook pages, so hopefully you guys were seeing that. It is called Firefly Still Flying, and it is to celebrate the 25-year of anticipation of Firefly being revived. I don't know how many of our listeners are Firefly fans out there, but oh my gosh, it is my top #1 favorite show of all time. It beats everything. Absolutely everything. Nothing is better than Firefly. I love that show, and as soon as the announcement dropped, Nathan Fillion got together with the entire cast at AwesomeCon down in Washington, D.C., and they announced on stage that they have got a new animated series coming. The entire cast is returning, except for Ron Glass, of course, because he passed away quite a few years ago. Firefly is being revived, and it's coming back in animation form because it's 25 years later. The actors are all much older. They do not look the same. There's no way they could continue their characters without it being a little bit uncomfortable or weird looking. And plus, they're all busy. I mean, Nathan Fillion's got the Rookie. That's not going to end anytime soon. Gina Torres is now on Memory of a Killer. Alan Tudyk just finished Resident Alien. Jewel Staite is on Family Law. Like, they're all busy, so they can't commit to another TV show. But voice acting in a studio, they can easily do that. So it's an animated series, and from all the news that's been out about it so far, is it's continuing right where Season 1 left off. So they're starting with Season 2, Episode 1. And it's going to take off right where the show left off. So it's really, really cool to be diving back into that verse, as they call it. And so the new show is also called Firefly Still Flying. So I branded the podcast Firefly Still Flying Podcast. And joining me as co-host is going to be the real Brian from, the old Aero Squad days. Him and Kevin Batchelder, Podcast Overload. They kicked off Aero way back in the day before I took it over. And so he's going to be coming on board to be my co-host over there.
Nice.
Firefly. And there's I already released an episode. Episode 1 is out. It's a solo episode. It's just me sharing all the news, sharing everything that I know so far, everything that Nathan Fillion has shared, breaking it all down and providing some speculation and some hopes and stuff like that. So if you haven't checked it out and you're a Firefly fan, go look for Firefly. It's still flying. It's out there.
Nice.
Cool
We
stuff.
got lots of content coming. Me and Brian are already working on ideas. We're just going to start releasing a whole bunch of short little episodes because we have no idea. This could be 6 months. It could be 2 years before this show comes out. We have no idea. So,
Are you guys going to plan to do a rewatch?
We're doing a rewatch. That is part of the schedule.
Nice.
Yep. So a bunch of feedback, or not feedback, a bunch of preliminary episodes just talking about stuff, why animation and breaking. We're going to do a character breakdown in case people forget or in case people don't know the show. We're going to break down the characters and then we'll do a rewatch. All 14 episodes plus the movie.
Nice.
It's been so long since I've seen it all.
So then everybody must join us on the rewatch because it's so fun to revisit it. Yeah.
That's specifically why I asked.
So it's going to be busy. I mean, hopefully everything times out because I got, we're going to have Tomorrow's Legends running and I got Mandalore running. And if I have to pick up Firefly, it'll be three shows a week if everything happens to be at the same time. Or maybe Lanterns is fly. Like, I have no idea. So we'll have to see. But I wanted to jump on it right away before anybody else got out there because while everybody else is still reacting, oh my God, Firefly, I'm like, type on the keyboard madly to fireflypodcast.com. Yep, got that. Firefly Podcast in Apple's. Yep, got that. And I was securing the name everywhere to be first on the jumping on it. So hopefully I am. And Brian's got some connections, so we are hopefully going to be reaching out to the actors and see if we can get on board with them and help promote the show and maybe get them on as an interview. We'll have to see.
Sweet.
Yeah,
that would be very cool.
We're trying, so because I know he's got his feet in the industry a lot deeper than any of us do, so he might be able to pull in some strings and see if we can get in touch.
Cool.
Nice.
It's exciting. We'll see. See what happens. But Firefly's still flying, so check it out. We'll let you know when we start doing the rewatch. For those of our listeners that have never watched it before, trust me, you want to watch this show. It is the best thing sci-fi has ever done.
That is so good.
All right, let's get back to Justice League Unlimited, the Ultimatum. Let's get to our ratings and reviews of the show.
Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice.
All right. I gave this one 7.5 young heroes. I like the powers of this new group. And, it's really telling that no matter how hard people try to make people with power to work for them, it just doesn't work. Here we have clones designed to be heroes that were controllable, but that desire to be heroes is the thing that took them out of the control of the government. It was a good ep, but I really would have liked more with this group to see them kind of deal with their existence and how it's going to work, and maybe see working towards a cure or just more action with this group, because it was fun. It was a fun power set, but it's like, okay, we're done.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
All right, I gave this one 7.5 cloned existences. I thought it was a really interesting premise to kind of have the government creating these superhumans so they could have a force that they owned, so to speak. As Jeff said, that never really quite works out. But when they kind of first show up, they're acting like this younger, cooler version of the Justice League. And I was just like, where did these people come from? So we slowly get this reveal throughout the episode, of course. But at the beginning, it just totally threw me off. I was like, wait, how have we never heard of these people? Where did they just show up from? Like, what is the deal? And obviously, they really didn't want to be part of the Justice League, except for Long Shadow there in the end. So it was interesting way to kind of like have our older, so to speak, Justice League, and then kind of like these new kids kind of like coming up and pretending they were the new version. I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, very true. I'm down there with you guys. I gave it a 7 quick lives. So this episode flew by. It felt as short as the lives of the Ultimen. It may be the shortest episode yet. I'll have to look at the actual runtime. I mean, they're all roughly around 22 minutes, so I'll have to see if this one was like 21.45 or something, because it just felt really short. But even with that, it does present some pretty heavy topics revolving around cloning, the morality of all of that, and it also starts the perspective of the government and people in charge, that they are not people you can trust. I mean, look at the real world. Oh my gosh. They are truly only after more power and staying in charge and in control of everybody, and that's a real world story. Other than that, the Ultimen here are an interesting bunch. Basically, new takes on power sets that we've seen in other heroes. And can we say Wonder Twins at all?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I don't know if they were paying homage or as a direct ripoff. I'm not sure, but kind of funny that they went with that here. So, but I got one question. As Jeff's going to dive into the guest voices and character powers, like, are these guys from the comics? Is this created for the show? That was one question I forgot to ask in the notes.
Yeah, they were created for the show. And they are paying homage to characters from the Super Friends. So
Right.
Alrighty.
Cool. Well, let's break it down. Who do we got guesting this week? Oh, wait a second. I forgot you're waiting for this sound.
Gathered together from the cosmic reaches of the universe.
There we
gotta
go.
have that one, especially tonight.
Especially tonight, yeah.
Yeah, well, I scrolled too far in the notes that I didn't see the cue to play the clip, so my bad.
All right, so we've got Giganta, voiced by Jennifer Hale. She's back. We've got Professor Emil Hamilton, voiced by Robert Foxworth, is back.
Right.
We've got Maxwell Lord, voiced by Tim Matheson of Animal House, West Wing, and Virgin River fame.
Cool.
We've got Amanda Waller, voiced by CCH Pounder of The Shield, NCIS New Orleans, Warehouse 13, ER, and she's played Waller in a ton of animated media, so she's very familiar. We've got Winddragon, voiced by James C., voice artist known for Avatar: The Last Airbender, Kung Fu Panda series, and many more. We've got Long Shadow, voiced by Greg Rainwater, and an interesting thing, he voiced Ty Long Shadow in Young Justice. Similar character. And then he was in 1994 Street Fighter and Young Riders. We've got Juice, voiced by CCH Pounder as well.
Oh.
And then we've got Downpour and Shifter, voiced by Gray DeLisi. She voiced characters in many animated shows, and she played Catwoman in Batman Arkham City and Injustice video games.
Right. I would hazard a guess, Jeff. I bet you the name is pronounced Delisle.
Okay.
That's probably
I was going to say.
S,
Yeah.
Gray Delisle. Well, interesting name, Gray. I've never heard anybody called Gray before.
Yeah.
That's
I don't
kind of
think
cool.
I'd be there. It's a cool name.
Yeah.
So cool. Some good guest actors and a lot of people playing double roles. So
Yeah.
kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that surprises me. I could, now that it makes sense of, I think I have this later in the notes, but it does make sense of why like Downpour and Shifted are voiced by the same person, because they sounded very, very, very similar to me.
Yeah.
I did not cue that Waller and Juice were both voiced by the same actor, so
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
And CCH Pounder, like you hear that, you're like, is that a man or is that a woman? You have
Exactly,
no idea.
yeah.
Like, what is that? What a name. That's a weird name.
Yeah, well, I know her from a lot of different media, so like, you know, I knew it was a woman, but yeah, so.
What does
Nice.
CCH stand for that she wants to use her initials?
Oh, I forget.
I'm going to look it up.
Yeah, get right
It's
ahead.
just- yeah.
But yeah, I knew her
Anyway.
from Warehouse 13, because she was in
Right.
like almost every episode of that. She was like the upper rep.
You'd recognize her.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
It stands for Carol Christine Hilaria Pounder.
Wow.
She's a Guyanese actress.
Yeah.
Okay. CCH. Interesting. All right, well, let's get in the show. So our first story point this week is almost original. We open with an attack on an oil rig by some magma men. I mean, we didn't get a name for them. I'm just calling them magma men. And they're new life forms coming up from the bottom of the ocean. And Aquaman, he's first on the scene. And we haven't seen him in a long while. So it's kind of cool to see him there. And he seems a lot more calm and less angry right off the bat. Like he just seemed less than he was the last time we saw him.
I think it's funny that you put it that way. I felt like he seemed less explosive, if you know what I mean, but he still seemed pretty angry because these oil guys seem to have ignored his advice, which we'll get to in just a minute here, but that'll make more sense. But anyway, I still felt like he was kind of explosive.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's calmed down some, but he takes the protection of the seas very personally still. So I think it's one of those things where he's more of a team player, but he is still, the oceans are his first priority. So
yeah, exactly.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I probably agree with you guys there. And then the other thing I noticed, like he's got the trident hand that he's wearing now because his arm got cut off. And he shoots out this trident hand during the fight, and he shoots it out like 50 feet, and it knocks one of the magma men off the platform and in the ocean. And then he retracts it back, and I'm looking at it going, that was like 50 feet of cable that came out of where? And where does that cable go back to when he retracts it? Like, wait. That's kind of strange, man. That was a long way. And the cable's it's going all the way back in his arm. Like, wait a second.
Honestly, I kind of feel like we don't want to know the answer to that. But just kind of like a stab in the dark. I feel like it would have to like somehow coil up into that gauntlet thing. Who knows? I don't know. Comic book cartoons.
Hey, if the Flash can fit his suit in a ring, so got some Atlantean tech, that makes the as it goes in, it gets small, like fishing line or something.
It shrinks down, yeah. Interesting.
I love it.
Well, going back to the magma men, like I don't know what else to call them. Like they felt almost alien. They kind of reminded me, if you go all the way back to Justice League Season 1, those white aliens that came. Like, I was like, that's a very similar animation style. But I was looking at these magma men. They came up from the bottom of the ocean, and I thought to myself, did we just create a new species of humanoid that can spit lava? I mean, how did that not get discovered before? Like these magma men are living in the crests of the earth underneath all the water, the oceans. That was kind of crazy.
I agree. It was definitely crazy. Aquaman does kind of mention this because this is kind of what my comment meant, that he had warned the humans on this oil rig not to dig so deep. So I think it seems to me that he's almost like aware that these like magna men type of people kind of exist, even if like greater humanity was not, kind of like Jeff said, the ocean is his domain. He knows everything about it.
Right.
So that was kind of like my take on that. And it was certainly quite interesting. I kind of couldn't tell if they were attacking this oil rig because their like civilization had been disturbed by the drilling, or if they just weren't peaceful at all. And that was kind of like the point. That's why Aquaman was warning humans not to dig so deep for the oil, because he was going to disturb, these monsters and rise them up out of the depths. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like they had limited intelligence, but they were pretty powerful, so, yeah.
They were, and what it was making me think of, you've seen those movies like Journey to the Center of the Earth and all that kind of stuff, so you break through many layers of the Earth's crust and you get into the subterranean world where there's a whole nother Earth in existence down there with all kinds of creatures and stuff that we've never seen before because they're below the surface that we live on. And that's what it kind of made me think of. Like maybe there's a realm of lava people down there, and that's where these guys came from. Like,
who knows?
Who knows?
So like the title of this story point here, like just the originals of the Justice League show up. We get Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, the holy trio. And I thought, okay, that's cool. They're the ones that come to help save this oil rig. Like because we were talking about this at the beginning of this season. Like, why is it only the originals and we're not seeing the Unlimited people? Like, this is called Unlimited, and we haven't really been introduced to anybody yet. We're still just getting our original team, and now we're back to it again.
Yeah, but to take that like even further, I know we have more details on this later, but when they have their council a little bit later in the episode, and it's just them around the table, and then they have like all of these empty seats, and so it just kind of made me wonder, like, why are we only with this trio and not the original Justice League that we had. I mean, of course, minus Hawkgirl for obvious reasons. You know,
but no Flash, no Green Lantern, no Manhunter.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not consistently the same people. Could they not get these actors to come back as regulars for this series? It just seems like such an odd choice for me.
Yeah, I don't know about the logistics and the actors of having to, I guess, get, you know, a lot more characters, and so you nail down the big ones or whatever. But yeah, I did notice the empty chairs for those folks, and I was thinking, well, maybe this is just a conference room, not intended to be like, you know, designated chairs for the members, but it's just like, okay, you go and you debrief here in the conference room A on the Watchtower. So
that's a good way to think of it, because they're not in the Hall of Justice down on Earth where they had a table with everybody had their own chair. This is just maybe a meeting room, and they were hanging out there. I mean, that still is a pretty large table and pretty kind of uncomfortable looking. Like it's pretty. I mean, they are on a space station, but still. So
yeah.
And maybe Flash, Green Lantern, maybe they're off on missions, and you know these are the people that dealt with what just happened, and now they're discussing. Maybe they do this after every mission. Maybe they have a what do you call it?
A debrief.
A debrief. Yeah, maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, must be.
Yeah, I don't know. But during all of this happening, you notice Wonder Woman, she's flying in her invisible jet again on the way to the Magma Men. And I just truly don't understand why she needs it. They've shown us that she can fly, and she can fly pretty far, pretty fast. Why does she have to be in the invisible jet?
Maybe she gets tired. I don't know. That's all.
Yeah.
I was my suggestion is maybe it's because of speed. The jet goes faster than her flying speed, but again, I'm thinking, okay, they've got this technology. Wouldn't it be quicker for them to be beamed up to the Watchtower and then beamed down directly to the rig rather than flying, flying in? I don't know.
I have no idea. I mean, I don't know what the capabilities of that beam technology is. Like, can it take them anywhere in the world, or is it? Do they have to have a receiver? Like, you've got the transporter up on the base station, but do you have to have some type of receiver on an Earth-based location? I don't think
so. They got beamed up from the cabin the other week. You know,
in the middle of nowhere, supposedly.
So I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
But it's funny you mentioned speed, because the funny point I thought is Wonder Woman's sitting there flying and she's talking on the radio, and then Batman just zips by her in the Batwing, and he's like, see you there.
That was really funny.
It kind of leaves her in the dust. And then another speed comment. This one kind of bugged me. I could almost nitpick this, but Superman says, right, don't worry, we'll be there in 3 minutes. I'm almost there. And I'm thinking, Superman, you can fly near the speed of light. You can friggin' move when you want to. So isn't this an emergency rescue situation? Shouldn't you be flying at your top speed to get there, not just casually, I'm just enjoying the clouds and the air in my face. I'll be there in 3 minutes. Like, move, man. Move. Get there.
I have nothing to add. It's just so funny. It's so true.
This is a kid's cartoon. We enjoy nitpicking, but still, it's a kid's cartoon.
I mean, he can fly. It's been shown that he can fly around the Earth so fast that he can reverse time. So get there. People are dying. Get there.
Don't get me started on that
one. So back to that conversation around the round table. During that conversation, Wonder Woman mentions for the first time the cost of what they do is expensive. And I thought that was a really interesting line of dialogue. They just acknowledged the outrageous expense everything must be. Being superheroes and the space station they're sitting on and everything. And it kind of lends, because she kind of directs that comment at Batman, and it kind of lends to him being the only one that's really covering the cost of everything. But I like that it came up. And it's probably, now that you guys mentioned kids show, it's probably too mature for a kids show to really get into it. Like, they're not going to really break down the bank statements and the cost of whatever. Like, it's a kid show. They don't really care. But the fact that she brought it up, I thought was interesting.
I agree. And I think I may have missed this the first time around. I did kind of scan back through that scene a little bit when I was looking for one of my favorite scenes. So I think I just missed it in the original dialogue. But I agree with you. I like that they at least acknowledge it. But yeah, there's no way they can go deeper on a kid's show. They would lose kids so fast. Like, could you imagine? I could just try to imagine my 9-year-old daughter. They're talking about how expensive it is to be on the Watchtower. And she'd be like, who cares? This is a cartoon.
Superman and Batman, they're sitting there with calculators, punching in and checking out receipts and stuff.
I know. Meanwhile, like the nerd in me is like, yeah, how much does it cost to run a space station like this? Like, I really want to know.
Yeah,
but anyways.
Bruce Wayne's money can't be that much. Like, it's got to run out. If he's forking the bill all himself, I can't see him covering it all. But
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what I was thinking is like, I almost feel like they've got to be like either repurposing stuff or like piggybacking off of government contracts that Wayne Enterprises has, something that is sort of like helping to offset these costs. Or, maybe they have some other donors besides Bruce. You never know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's a great point that it is a lot of expense. And I was wondering, like, could like Aquaman bring gold up from the ocean depths to help pay, or other metals needed in construction? I mean, people being
interesting, like
other league members contributing in different ways, not maybe just solely money, but like supplies and technical expertise and things like that. So, maybe that's another reason to build out the league is, the ability to kind of help set stuff up. But yeah,
you guys got to pay rent and tuition on your bunks in the base station.
You want to join the Justice League? Here are your annual dues.
Because I mean, we know Bruce Wayne is rich, but Clark Kent, Superman, he's a reporter for the newspaper. He doesn't make much money, so he's not going to be able to chip in to operate a base station. What's, Green Lantern doesn't even have a job anymore. Martian Manhunter, we're like.
Yep.
I don't know.
Who knows?
I don't know. But as the episode moves along, we cut to a prison scene where Giganta is attacking, and Wonder Woman shows up to stop her. And surprise, she's like, Giganta's like, I'm not alone this time. I brought help. And out flies Bizarro from the prison to back her up. And I was like, Bizarro? What the heck? Him and Giganta together? That's a fun pairing.
Yeah. I mean, they were there to break Grodd out of prison, and I guess we're meant to assume that he's been in prison since the last time we saw him on Justice League, when Batman took him back there at Christmas. But I was surprised to see Bizarro there.
I was very surprised to see Bizarro there. I mean, I had seen him in the previews. I noticed that the last few episodes, when they end, it shows a preview for the next week's episode.
Right,
I was like, oh,
during the
okay.
credits,
Yeah, so like I'm watching the credits and I'm like, is there more to the show? And it's like, oh, no, this is preview. Okay, cool. So I noticed Bizarro in the previews from the last episode. And so I was curious, like, how and when he would show up, like how he would be part of the story. And I was not expecting him to team up with Giganta, but it does, because it just seems like an odd pairing to me, but I guess that's the point of this show. We're supposed to take these like off-the-wall characters that don't really go together, and voila, Justice League Unlimited, villains included. I don't know.
Well, that reminds me, Marvel had a series for a long time called Marvel Team-Ups, and they would take two random characters that never worked together and put them in a story, like Spider-Man and Mr. Fantastic. Hey, here they go. Yeah, so it's
forgot about that. That's a good point.
Speaking of, side note, did you guys see the new Spider-Man trailer?
Yes.
No.
Oh, yes.
So good.
Oh, my God. The trailer for the new movie just dropped, Jess. You'll have to watch it after this. It has, I mean, we're talking superheroes anyway. It has shattered the record. 756 million views in 24 hours.
What?
Yes, just the trailer alone. Deadpool and Wolverine had the record originally. They only had 350 million views in that same amount of time. Spider-Man more than doubled it.
Wow.
It's over 700 million views in less than 24 hours. Like, it's crazy. So what does that tell you? People are hungry for Spider-Man. He is, without a doubt, the most popular superhero around today. More than Superman, more than Batman, more than anybody. Spider-Man is the world's favorite superhero. He just is.
They did a really good job with it, and things that were in there and people that were in there and people that weren't, and then all this stuff you leave up with speculation. It was really good. So
and just
how the other one ended, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Well, that's where this takes off. He erased the world. He erased himself
know.
from the world's memory.
It's been like, I forget how many. It's been a couple years.
4 years, I think it was supposed to be. Yeah.
Okay.
Since the events of
So it looks like an emotional powerhouse and just amazing. And as far as I know, Tom Holland signed on to do 3 more Spider-Man movies, and then I think he's done. Plus doing any Avengers stuff. So
this is like the first of a new trilogy.
And then he wants to start a family with Zendaya. Zendaya. And they want to start a family, and they're both going to quit Hollywood completely to raise a family. So
fascinating.
We get him for 3 Spider-Mans and whatever Avenger movies, and then they're done. Yeah,
he says the quote is like, once we have kids, you won't see me. I will be golfing and being a dad, and that's what I'll be.
Good for him. That's actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
And they've really locked into that together. So anyway, just exciting. So go check out the trailer. It's fantastic. It's amazing. It gets me amped up. I love Tom Holland is perfect.
I like him.
Is the perfect Spider-Man, and they always do. The Spider-Man movies have just been put together so well. Like, it's Marvel's masterpieces for sure.
Yeah, they have done them really, really well.
Yeah. Interesting. And I mean, like I said, world's most popular hero. People can argue with me if they want, but the thing is, Spider-Man is the most relatable hero, and that's why he's so popular. Yeah. He's a regular guy like us. He's got a job that he's got to get to every day. He's struggling to pay the bills and the expenses, buy groceries. He wants to meet the girl, and he's nervous. Like, he's just a regular dude, and that's why he's so popular, because we all can relate to his life. Mm-hmm. And then he goes and fights crime at night or during the day or whenever it gets called away. Like, it's just, there's not a more relatable superhero than Peter Parker. It's just the way it is. Anyway, so go check that out. That made me think of that now that you mentioned it. And going back to Justice League here with Bizarro and Wonder Woman. Like, Bizarro, what was funny when he comes out too, he's even singing. He's like, "Here I come to save the day." And you're like, what the heck?
Bizarre.
Yeah.
Bizarre. Pretty funny, I thought, but that's Bizarro, so it's pretty cool. So I had a question though with Bizarro, because I know we got him on Superman and Lois, and I've seen him in the cartoons before. We've seen so many iterations of him, and I just wanted to check in and kind of re-verify. Bizarro is as strong as Superman, because he's basically a clone of Superman, right? Like, because he seemed to get the upper hand on Wonder Woman fairly easy in this fight.
Yeah, I mean, I would think he's as strong as Superman, because essentially they're the same person, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Wonder Woman's super strong, but I don't think she can quite hold up against like the super powered aliens, like against a Superman going all out, or like a Bizarro, or even like a Supergirl. Like, I think when we get the extraterrestrials, they can get a leg up on her. I think we've seen that throughout the series so far.
Yeah, definitely. Long Shadow joins in. The prison fight's happening, and this is when Bizarro is kicking Wonder Woman's butt. Long Shadow joins in to help her, and they take him down with one big slap. I love that. Wonder Woman gets a good punch on him. He's flying through the air, and Long Shadow's in there and just smack her right out of the air. Takes him down. So that was kind of fun. And Long Shadow seems to be quite taken by Wonder Woman. I think there was a little bit of flirting going on here. Maybe he read it wrong, but what's the age difference? Because I'm picturing him to be maybe 20, and we know Wonder Woman is whatever, 602. But like, there seemed to be a little bit of flirting going on. Like, I know she was being friendly to him, but she was kind of just playing along, like allowing him to flirt with her, and she just let him. I don't know. What did you guys feel with that?
I thought Wonder Woman was actually being a bit more like genuine with him. She was trying to encourage him, not exactly flirt with him from like her perspective. However, he's clearly very enamored with her. Like, you could totally tell he was smitten and just so excited to be working with his hero. Yeah. And so then I think it kind of feels like when she's like, "Oh my gosh, but you did so great and you were amazing." And so then I think it kind of like feels reciprocal, but as a woman, my take on it was it wasn't necessarily meant to be. I felt like she's trying to be more encouraging than flirty. My take.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to ask.
Yeah, I think he definitely takes it as flirting, and I can see how he thinks so. Maybe she is a little bit, and not really knowing it, because she is still, in the grand scheme of things, fairly new to dealing with the realm of men.
Ooh, good point.
And so I kind of agree with Harley that, that she may not realize it, but she is maybe a little bit. But I think she does want him on the team. And so, it, like I said, it's probably a misunderstanding, but I think, she doesn't really realize, that he's taking that as, as flirting as much as he is. So
that's a good point.
Yeah. And I mean, I forget if I had it later in the next section, but he talk about him wanting to join because he was really the only one out of the team that wanted to join because they offered it. Yeah, hey, you guys come join the league, and the leader of the team, I forget his name, the Wind Dragon. He basically said, no, not really. We're not ready yet. We want to get some experience to be worthy of joining a team. But Longshot was like, well, I'd like to join. Like, I'm excited. Let me join up. So,
Yeah. Oh, poor guy.
All right, let's move into next said topic, the Ultimen and Amanda Waller. So, introducing, or have we seen this team before? Aquaman said, these guys again, but I don't remember them. We haven't seen them before, have we?
I did not remember them either. So maybe like Aquaman had come up against them, or like he had seen them, or maybe they've seen them in the universe, but we haven't. I don't know. That's kind of how I read that. I don't think we've seen them before in either series, right?
Yeah, no. Their interaction with the League has been off screen, so we haven't seen them before this point. So, but the dialogue is just saying, okay, they've been around for a little bit, but we just, it's one of those things, we don't get to see all of the adventures that the League has. So,
no.
82-episode season. Yeah.
Right?
Cool. So, okay, we have Wind Dragon, who is the leader. We have Juice, the electricity guy. We have Long Shadow, the giant. And then we've got the quote-unquote Wonder Twins, Downpour and Shifter. So, Jeff's going to break it all down for us here, and we talk about their powers and abilities as we go, hero by hero here.
Yeah, so Wind Dragon was inspired by the Super Friends character Samurai. He is an aerokinetic, so basically he has ability to channel and control the wind and the air. So he's, along with the rest of them, we find out they're created by Project Cadmus. And, he is, the leader, so-called, of this group, so.
Interesting, yeah. I felt like it was kind of clear from the start that he was leading the team just because of the way, he's obviously in the forefront, he's acting as the spokesperson. He felt very anti-Justice League to me.
Yeah, like there almost seemed to be a bit of, when he was denying or turning down their offer, he was trying to be friendly and polite about it. No, we're gonna get more experience, but you could hear the tone in his voice where he thought he's better than them.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I definitely took that.
Yeah. So
and I kind of had a question. So he's like kind of an air type superhero meta. So when his power is actually turning to ice, as we see, is that the point where it's starting to like break down? Because I don't know, it just seemed like an odd choice for me to go from like air to ice as like a de-evolution. I don't know if that made more sense to either one of you, or if it was just the fact that it was different.
Yeah, they called it, that was a new mutation or a new power that the scientists were worried about. So like, he's I guess pulling in the wind so fast it's causing a wind chill, or pulling in moisture or something like that. So but it's definitely new, and that was kind of what like led the technicians and the doctor and that kind of stuff to like look at them, because they weren't expecting that.
That makes sense, because I kind of viewed it as he was just blowing wind, like such cold wind that it eventually did freeze things. It was such a chill wind that he was pushing that it chilled things. So, but
using the water in the air.
You couldn't do that before.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. All right, Long Shadow. What about him?
So, inspired by the Super Friends Apache Chief.
Yeah.
Long Shadow is able to increase his physical size and mass by force of will, and his limits are kind of unknown. But like he obviously could get higher, taller than Giganta, and he gets pretty tall on the the drilling platform. Like he's holding on to he's as tall as the big antenna on top of it. But so he gets strong as he gets tall, and he's got durability, and he's got the kind of resistance to harm, and so he does have enhanced hearing. So that's another one of his abilities.
Yeah, the hearing was a surprise to me in this episode, just because I wasn't thinking that would be one of his abilities, that he had like this kind of superhuman hearing, until they kind of showcased it. He could hear everything that was being said in the other room. I was like, oh, okay, well, that's a handy power set to have.
Yeah.
It was kind of almost like, because I like your point that he gets stronger the bigger he gets. So imagine that if he just kept growing and growing, how powerful he would get. But maybe his eardrums grow, everything grows too. So he's just taking in so much more sound that he can hear everything.
Yeah, I don't know.
But that was pretty good. And I did like the clip when Giganta's like, "Who are you, little man? You're no match for me. Get out of my way." And he grows up much taller than her, and she looked up and she's, poop.
Yeah, that was funny.
I actually like Giganta. She's always been fun when she comes around. She's got a fun dialogue all the time.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to Juice, the electricity one.
So inspired by Black Vulcan, Juice has the ability to control electrical energy and allows him to turn into or create small bolts of electricity, and that he can amplify stuff, the electricity whenever it's required, and also gives him the ability to fly. So
I actually thought his power was really cool. I liked it the most. I thought that being able to turn into electricity has all sorts of useful applications, and they showcased a lot of that throughout this episode. So he was fun to watch. I really enjoyed him.
Yeah.
All right, and now the twins.
Downpour and Shifter, inspired by Zan and Jana, the Wonder Twins. Yep. So, yeah.
That was incredibly obvious. And the minute that they showed up, I was like, wait, that's not the Wonder Twins. Is that supposed to be the Wonder Twins? I was like, what has happened right now? That threw me off in the beginning the most.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, one turns into animals, one turns into water type stuff.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same.
I was like, where's the sound effects? Where's my form of...
This?
Wonder Twin powers, activate!
Well, that too.
Form of water.
Exactly.
Yeah, so Downpour
an
has
eagle.
hydrokinesis and control of water, but he can also transform into any form of water that he can imagine. And then Shifter's power is theranthropy. I don't know.
Therianthropy? Yeah, what is that word?
So the ability...
Therianthropy.
Yeah, there you go.
Therianthropy, thank you.
Transform into any animal being that she can imagine. Wow. So, like, we saw, like a dragon and a dinosaur and a rhino and...
Yeah.
Sea serpent, I think.
Yeah. So, yeah.
No, that's cool. I have to say they maybe had a better look than the old Wonder Twins, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
They definitely had a better look. Yeah. Although they sounded so familiar, which after like watching the whole episode and then, starting the notes, I was like, oh, they're voiced by the same person, so that makes sense. But like when they each of them were talking, like I almost like couldn't tell like who was who and which one was which. I was like, they sound too alike. That was hard. That one was hard for me.
The actress didn't do a great job of changing the guy's voice to make it a little bit different. So, but anyway.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought this was funny. They break, they do a cutaway shot and they show this tall building, and on top of the tall building is their headquarters, and it's an exact copy of the Hall of Justice from Super Friends. I mean,
I did notice that now you mentioned it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I think they're just maybe paying homage is really what they're doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty funny. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So talking about this team, the Ultimen, like they are genetically engineered and they're grown in a lab by Cadmus. And we find out that they're actually only 1 year old. What the heck? So I have a couple questions here. Like, how does this work? How do you grow a human with powers? How do they give them superpowers? Like, it can't be that easy or successful because otherwise it'd be happening everywhere in people's garages. But how, I understand how cloning works. You're growing from a cell or whatever, but how do you get superpowers in there? How does that, and how do you decide what powers to give them? I want to know the science behind it.
I mean, my take on it would be like genetic manipulation, like gene editing and all of that. I wouldn't exactly call it ethical, but you would have to essentially genetically engineer a superhuman complete with powers, and then you have to somehow accelerate the growth and aging to like these later teenage years / early 20s to make it all happen in like a timely fashion. So definitely, comic book science at this point, and hopefully to stay in the realm of comic book science.
Yeah.
But that was kind of my take on it. Just some really evolved genetic manipulation.
But that's what I'm calling on. I'm calling on your scientific know-how. How could we make this happen? Because it's not like you can grab a blood sample from Superman and look at his, microscopically. Oh, there's the Superman gene. All right, let's take that out and inject it into these new people.
No. Through research, you'd have to, I quote, figure out what genes do what and what gene to flip on and flip off. And it's a lot.
Yeah.
It would be a lot of experimentation. And because of the way that you have to do it and the materials you need to do it, that's why I say I don't think it's ethical at all. Because you would need a live subject.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen cloning projects in so many other media and TV shows and stuff like that, and it's never. I mean, there's a lot of failure before they ever get a success for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, Star Wars for one. If you look back to when Emperor Palpatine was trying to clone himself, how many bodies were in tubes of water that were failed before they got him. So, I mean, there's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was thinking about this. So cloning Supergirl wasn't the only project that they were working on. And it makes sense to have multiple projects with different methods so you're not putting all of your eggs in one basket. So, they are wanting to, make somebody to be a counter to the Justice League that they have control over. So they're looking at all these different areas to try to do it and seeing which one works the best.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, like you said, you mentioned Supergirl, so they had that one project going on. Now they also mentioned they built that card gang.
Yeah.
And they made Volcana, they made her. So they've got all kinds of projects happening, and they've had a few successes. So
Yeah.
So I had to kind of laugh because, we've seen League members hanging out, and most of the time they're in uniform. We rarely see anybody outside of uniform. But twice here in this episode, we see the Ultramen hanging out, lounging around in their uniforms. It just seems silly, but it saves on animation costs because you don't have to animate, a different set of clothing.
I know. I totally agree with you. I think it's very silly. It does kind of make me roll my eyes a little, but I also get it, like you said, from a saving on the animation cost perspective.
Yeah.
It's got to be a little bit easier than having to draw essentially a new character.
Yeah.
I mean, you could think about it. They're teenagers in their 20s, and they're so glad to be superheroes. Maybe they're just like, hell, we're staying in this all the time, because what if we need to fly off to save the day? Yeah.
I mean,
and maybe that's all they know. They're only a year old. They're born into these outfits. Maybe that's all they know.
Yeah, I mean they've been programmed with backstories, but still, yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what we find out is that it turns out that they're suffering from advanced rapid cellular degeneration, and they're going to die soon. But it's not stated how long they have to live. So I started thinking, well, I guess the formula isn't perfected yet, at least not with this group. It didn't seem to work. they only have a year or so to live, and I thought that was kind of nuts. And then we see that they have to get hooked up every day to this machine and have some kind of blood dialysis or something done to keep them alive. So there's a lot going on there just to keep this particular team alive. So whatever worked with Volcana and that card deck people didn't work with these guys. So something's going on.
Yeah, but I mean, I think those were existing people, and these were like clones.
Grown from,
Yeah, there's a difference between giving a normal person abilities and powers and, growing people with those things built in, so.
Yeah, and I mean, with any experiment, it's going to take time to get it right. And that's kind of what I mean. Like, this would not be ethical, like, at all.
No.
You're essentially, like, playing with human life and creating. Like, you're literally playing God. Nothing about that is going to end well.
No.
Nothing.
No.
This is territory that should never be touched.
Well, I'm glad you keep bringing it up, because that is our last point, our last story point. Is just I just want to discuss all of it a little bit more. So
I know.
we'll get more
it's
into
coming.
that.
I'm planting my seeds.
So Amanda Waller is in charge of Cadmus and the project, and she is working with Maxwell Lord. We know Maxwell Lord. We saw wasn't he in season 1 of Supergirl? We know this character. He's been around.
Yeah.
So it's just funny to see the two of them working together.
Yeah. So in the comics, introduced as a shrewd and powerful businessman, and he was an ally of the League at times, and kind of was influential in forming Justice League International. But later, he kind of got into this, adversarial role with Wonder Woman and the Justice League. And so it's interesting, in the comics, he has the ability to telepathically influence people's minds, typically in the form of, like, pushing a subconscious suggestion to others. Now, I don't think we see that. Yeah, I don't see we see that here, but,
I thought he was just a regular human. I had no idea he had any ability.
So.
I didn't either, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, was it explained in this episode or anywhere that he supplies the science to make all of this work, this experiment, or is he funding it? Because he's rich like Bruce Wayne. Like, is he just funding the experiment? Is he supplying the science? What was his role in this project?
I think he was supplying some of the science, but the professor from that we saw in the Supergirl episode was there working with him, and I think he was paying the bills, but like ultimately, like he was limited, and so he had to go to the government to really flesh out what he really needed to do stuff. So
right. Okay. Cool. Speaking of cool and what's not cool is Amanda. She is never cool. She doesn't give a damn about anyone or anything other than her project succeeding. And I've always hated her when they have her come around on whatever TV shows, live action, in the movies, whatever. I was like, oh, Amanda Waller, I don't like this character. She's nasty. Like, she has no compassion at all.
Yeah. And she's got the same, game plan. I mean, she's known as the wall. Basically you're running into a brick wall to try to go up against her. She's a bureaucrat that hates, crime fighting and superheroes, and she has hardline methods, and she's kind of been back and forth, an ally and an antagonist in the universe. I mean, one of the Batwoman runs I was reading, like, she was somewhat working with Batwoman, but it was still like she was manipulating Batwoman. So she and a lot of the stuff she's depicted as, she's the head of Task Force X, the Suicide Squad. So
yes. That's where I've seen her most.
So that's where she is. But yeah, she's been in a lot of media. So, and she's no fun in any of them.
No, I always associate her almost as a villain, because she's always working on either some like super secret government project. It's not usually ethical or even strictly legal. But she always seems to be there. So
And it seems to me on this episode that this is the first time the Justice League is meeting Amanda and Cadmus, because Batman asks, "Who are you people?" And that's really odd to hear him ask something like that, because he knows everything about everybody. And when he's like, "Who are you people?" I'm thinking, whoa, okay, they've never met. This is the first instance for this whole group.
Yeah. That was a little bit surprising that he didn't know who she was. But we have another shock coming.
Yeah, I mean, we learned in the Supergirl episode that, they've got a dossier on all of the League and wanting to come up with against them, but we never really had a face to that. And, granted, she's still not the top of the chain, but she's pretty high up, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the surprise you're talking about, Harley, is that she knew who Batman was. That shocked him. Because she just called him, what did she call him? Playboy, rich boy, or something like that.
Yeah.
Whatever line it was.
Enough to give it away.
Yeah.
Enough to let him know that she knows who he is, and he was shocked. Yeah. And that makes me wonder, does she have intel on the entire Justice League? All the members?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would say a good portion of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not good.
No.
I mean, was she an enemy to the League in the comics? I don't really know much about Amanda Waller in the comics. She was...
Yeah, I mean,
based on your history there,
Yeah, pretty much an adversary most of the time, because,
That's why I basically consider her a villain in any way I've ever seen her. She's always been going against what we were working for.
Right,
so.
right.
Yeah, and trying to create her own team of heroes that she can control. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure if she continues on, if this is something, because the fact that they made it such a big deal of her meeting the League for the first time and Batman not knowing about it, Batman's going to go back to his Batcave and start studying and learning and researching.
Yeah.
Who is this Cadmus? And he's going to learn everything he can so that he knows what's coming at them.
Yeah.
I have a feeling she and Cadmus will probably be back again.
Yeah, I have that feeling too, so.
Yeah. All right, well, let's move into my last point. This is the powers that be, and this is where we're going to get into the controversial stuff and the debate about what the cartoon is presenting and how much it's pulling from real life. This whole idea of the government growing their own heroes is just nuts. Yet it's something that they would do in real life if superpowers became a reality. It'd be a whole other race. Instead of the space race, instead of the nuclear arms race, it'd be the race between US, Russia, and China. Who can create the most powerful hero first, and who can control the world? Like, truly, I think the TV show The Boys, that would be real life. We wouldn't get this fanciful, Justice League, this fantasy. It would be The Boys. And that's why I think that show is so good, because it explores the ideas of reality and what would really happen if superpowers became a real thing.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've seen that through a lot of different media, and especially in the comics. I mean, that was the whole deal with, U.S. Soldier on the Marvel side of having, somebody with superpowers and abilities that the government can control, and the whole, that whole plan of different things where they're experimenting with the super soldier, formula to try to get, ones that they can control and do. So we've seen it in most different types of comic book media. So
yeah, it just scares me, or I guess worries me. Like if powers were to become suddenly a thing, if I got struck by lightning and splashed with chemicals and I became the Flash, like, you think I would be allowed to run freely around the world being a hero? It wouldn't be allowed. They wouldn't let that happen. They would be coming after me and wanting to study me and cut me up, and because they would want to know what's going on. Like that, exactly this kind of stuff would happen. And if they figured it out, then they would want to clone it and do all that kind of stuff. So it's a scary idea. I don't know if it's something in the reality of things. I don't know if people getting powers would ever actually be something that can happen. Like, when you try to step back, okay, I know it's just comic books. Do you guys believe, like, is there ever a chance in the evolution of human beings, like, that something like this could happen? Could our genetics evolve to a point where we suddenly can develop powers?
I mean, I think that if that did happen, we would get something closer to maybe not quite the Tomorrow People, but you know how in the movie Looper, where people have varying levels of like telepathic abilities, because I haven't done my own research on it, but I feel like it's long been hinted at, humans don't use the full capacity of our brain, and if we could unlock the full capacity, like what potential would that unlock in humans? And so naturally a lot of people think of that down that evolution of like a power set. So I think something along those lines, maybe more like Looper territory than Tomorrow People territory, but something like that.
Yeah, I agree. I could see those type of things more than any of the traditional superpower power sets. So,
well, did you guys see the ML Cousins, their Code 8 movie series?
I have not seen it.
Oh, it's so good, because it talks about this too. It's about humans developing one. It's all elemental based. You develop either electricity or water or fire or whatever. Like it's all elemental based, and then there's varying levels. You're either level 1, the 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, and the government categorizes you based on how much ability you have. Because the guys with the low levels, like Robbie ML, he starts off as a low level electrical, and he goes out and does electrician jobs. Like he helps, construction and wiring and all that kind of stuff, because he's got the ability to manipulate electricity. But he evolves as the movie goes on. He becomes like a top level electric. They call them electrics, and so it's just fat. You guys, I mean, it's superhero based, but it's based in more of a reality situation. So check out those 2 movies if you haven't seen them yet. They're really, I mean, it's Stephen Amell and Robbie Amell. Come on, they're our Arrowverse guys. Check it out. They're good. They're good movies. So. But bringing it back to this episode, so what's the morality of all of that? Like cloning and treating them like property. Like, would clones have the same rights to life as we do? Like if you think of Star Wars and the clones in Star Wars, they were treated as they're just treated like the battle droids. They're just expendable, whatever. But there was a big fight to allow them to live their lives normally too. So when you bring this all together and you talk about this show and like cloning superheroes, and they're being treated like property and something the government owns, like, what's the morality of all of that? And this is what you were kind of touching on a lot, Jess, as we were talking. So,
for sure. I mean, clearly, I think it's completely unethical and possibly illegal, although I am not a lawyer. But I do not think that in any way, shape, or form is ever like a good idea. But, it's always really interesting to explore these things kind of from like a philosophical perspective. And I don't know, like, I mean, if you're actually created in a lab, even though you're human in nature, like, how does that work? Like, I feel like some element of that, if you're like truly completely 100% like created by humans in like in a lab environment in an artificial way. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess other human beings are created by humans, but in like a more natural way. I don't know. Like, I'm kind of thinking this through as I'm talking out loud, but it just, something about the experimentation of it, like, in my opinion, it would have to be genetic manipulation and gene editing. And I don't understand how that could work. And I just feel like that sets a really bad precedent. And anytime you talk about, a human owning another human as property, like, that's just never a good plan. Mm-hmm. Like, we have learned lessons from this over thousands of years of history. Like, we do not need to repeat that. So I don't know, but with the whole clone aspect as well. I mean, I know they touch on it a lot in Star Wars. Foundation explores this a lot with the Cleons. And if I remember correctly, at least in like Foundation's take, they state that the clones don't actually even like have any souls at all. There's like this whole thing where one of the Cleons has to like visit a temple, and it's a little bit of a spoiler alert. It's not like a huge, well, maybe it's a bigger plot point. Anyways, you kind of find out through various reasons, that one of them had to fake the results because he couldn't have the experience because he's a clone. He's not like an original human. Does that make sense? I don't know. I feel like I'm talking in circles, but
it makes sense because they're not born from conception. So would they if it doesn't matter what you believe in, but would they come with a soul? Like, they were man-made, grown in a lab.
Exactly.
How do you put a soul into that? You're not God. You don't control that.
Yeah.
You don't pluck up. Soul number 3 off a shelf over there, please. Thank you. Yeah. All right.
Right? I don't know. It's it's very complicated.
Yeah. I definitely think it's immoral, but as far as the soul issue, like it's looked at a lot in sci-fi, and you look at Data, and you look at the clones in Star Wars and that kind of stuff. Looking at those and measuring those, it clearly seems like they have a soul. And I mean, I don't know how you can separate, intelligence and, a soul from each other. So, how that soul gets there, I don't know in terms of that universe. But yeah, it's clearly unethical, to clone, because you are taking genetic data and you are manipulating it. You are taking, something from somebody and creating something else totally out of it without their knowledge. So it's interesting. I mean, we address this in Battlestar Galactica too. You've got the Cylons and their kind of reality there too. So it's a big issue throughout sci-fi. But is it ethical? No.
It's a huge debate and discussion when you're just talking about cloning with people and stuff, but there's two other points I want to bring up to get your guys' thoughts on. What about, we'll stick with people first, instead of cloning people, they're also using the technology. Say, Jeff, you get in a car accident and you lose your arm. They can take your genetics and clone you a new arm and attach it. Would you guys be okay with that type of science and technology? Hey, I can get my own arm back. You can regrow my arm because you're cloning my genetics.
Well, here's the deal. Like, if they have the ability to do that, yes, you can consent to that.
Yeah.
But it raises a question. It can be used for good, yes, but there's no guarantee that somebody can't take my genetic material and then go create whatever with it without me knowing. Like, the ability to do that, it would be great, but it also has the potential to be awful, because somebody can take and steal and do whatever. They can, okay, this guy, is going to pay big bucks to get a new arm, so I'm going to take this guy's genetic material, so I don't know, it just, the ability to, bring in the Jurassic Park of it all.
I know.
They thought about, if they could do it or whether they should.
Should they, yeah.
Yeah, that's a big theme in Fringe, too. I mean.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, should they do it? Yeah, I agree. I think there's a lot of good that can be done with it. But as with all scientific things, when you create something for the greater good, it also has the capacity to be used for evil. And so, does the greater good really outweigh that? I mean, I think the atomic bomb and the fact that it haunted Oppenheimer until his dying days and what it was used for, and the fact that it has never been used again, kind of tells a pretty big story in that way. So.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there would have to be laws in place. Like, they'd have to create a system, right? Jeff, we're going to grow your arm back. We'll take a one-time sample, use that, grow your arm back, and then we incinerate the sample. And then that's it. We fixed your arm, and if, say, something else happens later in life, you need a new hip. All right, we'll take a new sample, grow you a new hip. Blah, blah. Like, there would have to be some type of law, something like that in place so that they couldn't use it. There's not some Jeff Terminator walking around in China killing people, right?
Or do you guys remember that movie, The Island? It was loosely based off of Logan's Run, but it was really about clones.
With Ewan McGregor. Oh man, it is such a good, because all they wanted to do was get their freedom, and he eventually it's such a good sci-fi movie. The Island.
That one was a little wild. Yeah.
All right, so my last question then. Okay, so we talked about people and body parts. What about, we all know Dolly, the sheep. She was cloned 20 years ago already.
I know.
What about animals? Like me, I just lost Cyber and Suma. What if they were able to say, hey, Martin, for $5,000, we can clone your cats and give them back to you again? How would I say no to that? I could have my cats back? Yes, sign me up. Here's $5,000 right away. Like, what about that?
I just think it's a slippery slope.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I agree. It's tough. It's especially, I mean, and I do feel, but I also do feel like people almost try to like take advantage of people like in vulnerable states, and I feel like that type of market could be like ripe for that. But
for scamming, it could. But again, laws and regulations, everything would have to be in place. But
I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know. Do I really want a carbon copy of my pet, or should I just go get a new one to love? I don't know.
There's the dilemma, right? Like the argument.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
I've had and lost beloved pets, and I don't know. I don't know what I would do. So
what's that saying? It's better to have loved and lost than never to have loved again.
Never to have loved at all. Yeah. Ugh,
I know.
That's it. Yeah, I know. That's tough. That would be tempting. I mean, if someone came to me and said you could have your cat back, I might take them up on it. I don't know.
I mean, again, what if maybe your cat maybe they die young? And
Mine did.
They can clone them and part of that cloning process is we can make sure their genetics are perfect so they can live a full life.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I lost my cat at 2 years old. They never got a chance to live a full life. It would be hard to say no. It really would. Mm-hmm. But I don't know.
It would.
Interesting topic for debate for sure. And you know what's happening. I mean, it's in the news today. Like the whole Dolly thing there, that really messed with a lot of people. What? You cloned a sheep and she lived and grew and had baby lambs?
That.
Like, yeah. Like
I remember that, yeah.
It's part of the real world. It's part of reality. And I'm sure cloning stem cells to fix people's, back injuries and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot going on that we don't even know about.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Yeah. Oh.
All right, well, back to the animated world and cartoons and non-silly or non-real life stuff, silly stuff. Let's pause for our ad break and we'll come back with our favorite scenes.
Shape out an eagle!
All right, Jeff, you're up first, yeah.
Yeah, I call this one Long Shadow's Backstory, so let's take a listen.
Believe it or not, when I was born, I was small, sickly. But lucky for me, my folks were scientists, experimenting with growth hormones. Guess the experiments were a success.
Where are your parents now?
Well, Mom passed away. Dad's retired. Do you really think I could make it in the league?
Yes. Yes, I do.
But I guess I owe it to the Ultimen to... Yeah? Okay, right away. I've got to go.
Yeah, I like that. We know that the backstory is fake, but I think it really tells us who he is and where he's coming from, and just gives us insight about who he is. And so I just like that moment of sharing with Wonder Woman.
Yeah, I think the backstory that they gave him kind of helped develop him as a human being, as the type of hero he's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, without them meaning to or knowing it, they created a really good person at heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think so too. I really liked that clip. I thought that was a good one.
Yeah. All right, Harley.
Alrighty. Well, I chose Not Long to Live.
The Ultimen cellular matrix isn't holding. Wind Dragon in particular is showing massive cellular atrophy. But they're all in the early stages of failure.
How long?
A few months, a few days. The progression will be painful. We should do everything we can to help them.
That's not our priority.
But Mrs. Waller, I really think that we...
Since when did your opinion count, Lord? How fast can you get the second team up and running?
I swear, he still wets the bed.
We push ourselves 5 days.
Can I help it if I keep turning into a puddle all night?
Quiet.
Do it in 3.
I saw her turning into
But what about the Ultimen?
Quiet!
They're expendable.
Great news, troops. Dragon's new power is nothing to be concerned about. But just to be safe, Professor Hamilton wants to keep you overnight for observation.
Overnight?
No problem, Max. We'll be happy to stay.
Interesting, because he's overhearing them, and he hears Amanda Waller say they're expendable, and he decides we're going to stay. So I'm wondering, he's like, oh, no problem, whatever you need. I think he wants to see if he can hear some more and find out some more about what's going on. But I think that ultimately leads to him wanting to join the Justice League, because he knows he's not safe where he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought maybe they were trying to stick around to like find some more information, or maybe find like a cure, or something along those lines, because they do. It does cut to them, all in uniform watching TV, and then eventually they like break out and go on the hunt for something. So they were definitely looking for something. So
yeah, and when you think about these Ultimen and their life and how short-lived it is, like it just with them finding out right now that as Long Shadow figures out and he eventually goes to join the League, because I know we didn't have in the notes there, but the League takes him in and they're like, he might not live, and the League was just like, it's okay, as long as he's living with us, we'll take care of him and all that. So it makes me wonder, like, does Batman then put in some research? Does he start trying to help study? Does the League rally around Long Shadow to help him possibly survive?
Yeah.
And do they have better resources than Cadmus would?
I was wondering the same thing. If they won't be able to cure him. So
I don't know.
And whether the story comes back or not, I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, well, the last clip is from me, and it's called Ultimate Truth.
You lied to us, Max.
I was only trying to protect you from people who don't have your best interests at heart. I've always been on your side, and I promise I won't stop until...
Spare us the performance.
Water. Lion. Will it be Max drowning on a rooftop or eaten by a lion?
Your artificial life forms, grown in a test tube, designed to be the ultimate superheroes.
That's a lie. I remember my parents, how much they loved me. I was with my mother when she died.
Implanted memories.
But I spent Thanksgiving with my father.
Actors. How long have we?
You're just a little over a year old. The purpose of the Cadmus project was to create a popular group of superheroes who are completely loyal to the government, unlike those loose cannons in the Justice League.
And the clones?
Replacements for when you wear out. Once they're complete, the clones will think they're you. They'll be you, and no one will be the wiser.
How could you do this to us?
Me? This is so big, even my superiors are small fish. But I was just
following orders.
No, he's nothing. We want the big fish.
That's a pretty tense scene there. Interesting. All three of us picked clips that has nothing to do with the Justice League. It's all the guest actors.
I just thought that the premise was really interesting, and so I liked the details.
This episode has a really good story, a really strong story. It just went by so dang fast. Like they rushed through it so quickly. I think this could have been definitely a two-parter for sure.
Yeah, they could have done more with it.
Really dive into all that stuff. But oh man, nuts. All right, how you can support the show? Well, I'll tell you right now. Well, it's not actually me. Someone else will tell you.
If you'd like to support our podcast, you can do so at our Patreon page at www.patreon.com/tomorrowslegends.
Don't
keep it to yourself now. Come on, baby, talk to us. It's feedback, yeah.
All right, first up we got Comic Geek Kev.
Good morning, Ultimate Legends. Bring on the reserve Super Friends. I have a pretty good memory of this one, and it was a clever way to bring back some of those characters who were created for the Super Friends into this newer show. Some highlights, obviously, the Ultimen, modeled after Samurai, Apache Chief, Black Vulcan, and their Wonder Twins, but with a nice tie-in to their previous Supergirl, Galatea storyline. Aside from the twins, I vaguely remember those characters being created, at least in part, to the cartoon, the Super Friends cartoon, not being able to use other characters like Black Lightning, but also a way to make the show more diverse. Amanda Waller, nice to see her. Was this her first appearance in the animated shows?
Mm-hmm.
None of the league seemed to know her, and I don't remember if she ever showed up in the animated Superman, but it's great to see her, and at the end she makes it pretty clear that she knows who Batman is. Safe to assume she knows about all of them. The ramifications of that can be pretty deep. I'm confused about when she showed up because I very specifically identify Waller with this representation, this voice, this look, which makes me think she was around a lot more, but I probably just remembered from these specific shows. Superman uses super speed, so he does have it. When the lava monsters were on him, he spun himself with super speed to knock them off. Of course, then he just stood there while they covered him in lava, which somehow hardens in 3 seconds. And also, when Aquaman calls for backup, Superman says he's 3 minutes out. Superman is 3 minutes out? Where is he?
See?
He couldn't even been on Earth, but obviously he was. Anyway, and he's going to get there at the same time as Batman and Wonder Woman flying their planes. And that was a nice little trick. Batman does a little loop-de-loop over Wonder Woman's invisible jet. I do always like to see the League go against other teams, and the backstory of these guys was interesting and pretty well done. And again, I like that it's part of a larger story arc and, about the government's plans to have a super team under their control. The caption, "Burble Burble," was used more than once. Imagine that, more than once in one episode of a 22-minute cartoon. Sometimes I just love captions. When we see the building that the Ultimen are in, isn't it basically the Hall of Justice? That has to be intentional, right? It has to be. It's just like black or dark blue in the animation, but it's got to be an ode to the Hall. And I like that aside from Long Shadow, the rest of the team is definitely in on the grifting part of the whole project. They want money and they want fame, and Long Shadow, aside from having a crush on Wonder Woman, seems to really want to do good. Wonder Woman also seemed to like him back. Better wake up, Bruce. She's got eyes for the tall guy. Nice to see Giganta again, even brief, and a quick appearance from Bizarro. And the scene at the end with them standing up for Long Shadow all together as a group in front of all those guns and stuff was really great. Some lowlights. Yeah. Not even a brief appearance by Hot Girl. Bring her back and then ignore her for another episode? Ooh, who thought of that? I feel like Downpour had an awful lot of volume. I don't remember that being the Wonder Twins thing back in the day. And then sometimes he would take back his shape and then leave a puddle. Does that mean he left part of himself behind? Ugh, that's kind of gross. Long Shadow seemed to be Spider-Maning down that building. He wasn't getting a hold on anything. He wasn't trying to grip between pieces of the side of the building. Right, just climbing down, just climbing right down. We are back again to the basic team with the addition of Aquaman. But where are all the other heroes? So many to choose from. And you even could have swapped one of them out for another one. I mean, it's always great to have the core group, sure, but there's just so many other people on this team now that they can choose from. I guess you choose to make the opening on the oil rig so they can include Aquaman. I guess there's also the ecological component because the Ultimen do mention that as well, that they're worried about the environment. But there's other people that could have been done differently. That's all I'm saying. That's okay. Downpour and Shifter are way too alike. I get it, they're twins, but sometimes it's hard to tell them apart when they weren't using their powers. I mean, it's certainly not important. It's just kind of weird. I mean, I couldn't tell them apart unless they were actually using powers. Some notable voices. Scott Rummel as Aquaman. I'm pretty sure he did the voice in Justice League. Tim Matheson as Max. Another one of those actors who has been around for decades, big in 80s TV shows and movies like Animal House. He still pops up on TV regularly. Gray Delisle as Shifter and Downpour. She's pretty prolific voice actor. One of those names you see in credits all the time. She also does a character in the Invincible show, which is an amazing animated show. I know it's not DC, but I highly recommend it if you like comic books that turned into animation. Hamilton is once again played by Robert Foxworth, and I don't recognize the name Greg Grainwater, who was Long Shadow, but Winddragon was James C., who has done voiceover work for Jackie Chan in animation. I'm giving this one 8.5 Wonder Crushes. It's enjoyable enough, interesting backstory for the Ultimen, tying it into the larger story. Nothing spectacular, but cool to see the reimagined Super Friends characters. That's it for now. Until next time, this is Comic Geek Kev turning the page.
Yeah, where's Hot Girl? I'm with you.
Yeah.
He just made me think of something funny. So we know Wonder Woman's flying in her invisible jet, and for us to see that she's in her jet, they animate it. There's like a clear outline, and you can see all the parts and components. But if it's an invisible jet, what does she look like to Batman when he's flying by? Is she just this woman in the sky in a seating position? Because he can't see the jet.
Exactly.
So she's just sitting there like as if she's sitting on a chair, but she's just floating in nothing. And then that's what she would look like to him. So that'd be so weird to see, wouldn't it?
Yes. But that's how I've always envisioned it. And that's why I think it's so strange.
Yeah.
To have an invisible jet when you're not invisible. What's inside of it?
It's so funny. So funny. All right, good stuff, Kev. Next up is Perry White.
Hey, Justice Legends. Perry here to talk about the Justice League Unlimited episode, Ultimatum. It's easily my favorite episode of the season. I'm giving it 9.5 Wonder Twin powers activated out of 10.
Wow.
The 70s and 80s era Super Friends was my entire childhood. So seeing them in the form of the Ultimen took me back to Saturday morning cartoons. I mean, the only thing was missing was like a bowl of cereal and about 1.5 pounds of sugar in there somewhere. It's freaking awesome. And I feel like Downpour and Shifter did more to redeem their power set in one episode than Zan and Jaina did during their entire run on Super Friends. What I also thought was cool was I liked the way that Grey DeLisle Griffin sort of had a little bit of nuance between the two voices, the brother and the sister, man. I thought that was cool, man. She's incredibly talented. What I really, really liked about this episode was I liked the fact that they built on the Cadmus mystery from Fearful Symmetry, and they introduced Amanda freaking Waller, right? She's got to be the only person who can go toe-to-toe with Batman and make him flinch. And of course, I mean, it should come as no surprise that Waller knows that Bruce is Batman, considering she knows it would take billions to fund the Justice League, and the only other billionaire we know so far has basically been financing the Ultimen. So Waller is sharp, but it wouldn't be that hard to figure out Bruce's identity, and she probably knows everybody else is in the league too. My last takeaway is this, right? I mean, I know that the Justice League, this universe, I mean, we're talking about a universe where heroes exist with fantastical powers and magic exists, right? So nothing really should surprise me, but I still find it weird that Dr. Ivo can simply create the most powerful being in the universe, and Cadmus can create and clone superpowered beings. I mean, it just feels like it's truly, truly unlimited in terms of what they can do in this universe. Well, anyway, it certainly feels like the Justice League Unlimited show is picking up steam and has pretty well established the storyline for this season. So to paraphrase Lex's advice to Amazo, I can't wait to see how it all turns out. By the way, did anybody else notice how salty and jealous Soups was in this episode? I mean, calling Wind Dragon corny is surely the pot calling the kettle black. Great Caesar's ghost.
Yes.
That's so true.
Favorite episode of the season so far? That's interesting, Barry.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
Right.
Good stuff, fellas, as always. So if you would like to be part of the show, you know what to do. And if you don't, well, listen up, because I'm going to shove it down your throats anyway.
If you would like to be a part of the show, you can send in your feedback to tomorrowslegendspodcast@gmail.com. You can also reach us on Twitter @tomorrowslegends. We'd love you to join our Facebook page at facebook.com/groups/tomorrowslegends and become part of the community.
All right. Next week, we are talking about Darkheart, Most of the League battles with powerful alien nanotechnology, but realize that the waves of self-replicating robots cannot be simply destroyed. The diminutive Atom shrinks himself to stop robots from the inside. Ooh, awesome. Adam is coming back, so they introduce him, and now we're getting him back.
Yeah.
All
yeah.
right. New
2 episodes later. Pretty cool. Self-replicating robots. Yeah, that's a tough one. That's very Terminator-like.
Mm-hmm.
True.
It's always a scary nightmare to have to deal with. All right. Yeah, so that is it for us. Everybody have a good weekend. And remember, go check out Firefly Still Flying podcast for my premiere bonus episode talking about the show that's coming. And yeah, check that out. And then we'll be back in here soon, I guess. I got nothing else really to say tonight.
I don't either.
All right. Well, that is it from all of us. Everybody have a good weekend. This is The Flash signing off.
And this is Harley Quinn. I'm out.
This is X-Force 11. So say we all.
Tomorrow's Legends is not affiliated with CBS, Warner Brothers, HBO, or the CW. We're a fan-made podcast for entertainment purposes only and are part of the Cybercast Network. Be sure to check out our partner shows, The Mandalore and Dive into DC, covering your favorite Star Wars and DC Comics properties. Thanks for listening.